Hello Reborners, my name is Karen and this is Making Dolls with Karen. I'm back with Jasmine again. We're ready to do some more to her. But first I wanted to show y'all my paint brushes. These are the brushes that I previously was buying. They're Royal and Langnickel, Crafter's Choice, synthetic camel hair, 15-piece set. I was paying like $12, I think, at Office Supply or someplace like that. And I found these at Hobby Lobby. And they're Crafter's Collection, but they do not say Royal and Langnickel on them. So I don't know if they are or not. It doesn't say it anywhere on here. It just says Crafter's Collection. But they are very, very similar to these other brushes. They have a few brushes that are a different shape, but that's all. I'm going to open them because I wanted to show you. These were only $6.99 and they look every bit as good as the other ones. The only difference is like the bigger brushes are, I mean, there are some flat brushes like these in there and flat brushes like these in there. But see this really big brush that would probably be considered a mop brush? This one's kind of almost flat and it's tapered at the end, where the other ones were just fat and fluffy like this. And I have plenty of these, but I don't have any like this. So this is a good choice, I think. These are good brushes. They look very, very, very good. I don't see any angled brushes. I was hoping to get some angled brushes. Similar to, I have a couple of angled brushes up here somewhere. I have one that's similar to this one, only it's angled. I love this brush. It just came from Walmart. Not all brushes are created equal. That's something we need to know. These have excellent fibers in them. They're very, very good. I think they're going to be great quality brushes, and I bought quite a few of them because, well, good brushes are hard to find. And where was this one? Oh, I guess right there. Anyway, these are all mostly flat brushes, and these are almost all round brushes. See, they have like a rounded tip on them where you can get down in crevices and stuff, at least until the stiffness. I think they put something on it to make the bristles be that stiff, because after you've used them a while, they're not that stiff anymore. But I highly recommend, I think I'm going to highly recommend these brushes. I'm going to try them out whenever I get a chance to dip them in stuff, but not right now. I have all these other brushes that look like this. But brushes, they do wear out. Like I said, somehow lots of paint thinner runs down through this little metal part, gets down here, and the first thing you'll see happen is this grip will come off. And then before you know it, the handle's breaking off here, or it's coming out of this metal part up here. And I have taken a brush like this, removed the top, and put this top on it because I like these brushes better. But I'm liking this brush, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I just probably will just throw them out or something. I don't know. Might see if my son can whittle down some dowels to stick in there to be the handles. I don't know. These are great brushes, so you don't want to lose one to something like that. The bristles do not fall out. I mean, I'm not going to say you're never going to lose a bristle, because you are, but I'm just saying they just don't shed bristles like some brushes do. Some brushes just continually shed bristles all the time. I had some different Royal and Langnickel brushes. I thought they'd be about the same as these that were big like this, but they had white bristles on them, and those bristles were falling out all the time. You couldn't even wipe it across the doll. You get 5 bristles on the doll, and they drove me nuts. I finally threw them away because they were driving me nuts. Anyway, we're back with Jasmine. She had her second seal, and she's looking really good. I'm not sure if she's dark enough. I just don't know if I think she's dark enough yet. But I'm going to start with some layers, I think, because, well, we sealed. And that's what I usually do after a seal. Her creases kind of survived the seal. They are not as dark as they were, but that's what happens in a bake usually. They just don't stay as dark. But they are still there. You can still see them a little bit. And possibly with paint going over the top of them, they'll even get darker. That is a possibility. And you can see the bottoms of her feet aren't very pink anymore. But we can always pink them back up again. And we can do it at any stage we want to in between coats. I mean, after we put on a couple of coats of 05, if we want to bake her and then do some more enhancements, we can do that. And I just want to get started on giving her some layers. She's looking very pretty. I love this kit. And I got her when she was on sale. I don't remember if she was $24. They have different sales sometimes. Sometimes the featured dolls will be $19.99. Sometimes they'll be $24. Sometimes they're $34.95. Sometimes, you know, all different. But I don't remember how much I paid for her, but I know she was on sale when I got her. That's all I remember. And I could look back at an invoice if I really, really, really wanted to, but I don't really want to. It's not that important. Anyway, we're getting close to running out of 05, so it's probably a good time to remix some more. I don't want to run completely out before I mix more because, well, you'll never get your color exactly. Well, you might. There's a chance you could still get your color exactly right, but I mean, it takes a little bit of practice and experience and work to actually get your color to the color you want it. It's usually a little darker or a little lighter than it was last time. I'm laying out a paper towel to test the paint on, and I am going to get out some 05 from up here. Oh, let's see. That's Genesis. I haven't been using that. I've been using the Gemini because, well, it's just what I've been using. This one's sealed, I can tell. Oh, crap. I'm probably going to have to look for one that isn't sealed now. Oh, there is plenty of Flesh 05 on, but most of it is Genesis. All this is Genesis. Not that we can't use Genesis, but I don't want to use Genesis. I want to use the Gemini. And I have another little container with flesh colors in it. It's probably in here. Oh yes, there's more 05 in here. I have plenty 05. That one's sealed. I can tell by the top doesn't come off easy. This one's coming off easy, so yep, this one's open. Okay, the first thing you want to do when you want to mix paint is you want to mix it up. We don't want lumpy, bumpy. We don't want the oil to be at the top. This is considered an oil paint, and it separates a little bit sometimes, not always. Sometimes it's not separated, but it looks bumpy and lumpy when you take it out. So now I'm going to make a little bit of paint onto the, well, I should have shook that up first, onto the paper towel so I can compare my colors. I don't want to make it too dark and I don't want to make it too light. I want to make it about the same as it is right now. So we have to have something to compare it to. And usually that's going to be the color you put on your paper towel. You're going to just put a dot like that. It's going to, all of the paint thinner is going to separate from it. And it's separating right now. And it's going to leave behind just paint. And it's doing that right now. And, oh, let's leave this off. There seems to be a good bit of Exodus oil in here. It seems very oily, but I'm going to put just a little bit more in there because it does actually dissolve the paint. That's not it. I have it in a bottle that Eileen's Paper Glaze used to be in, but I took the label off so I wouldn't confuse it with the Eileen's Paper Glaze I'm using now, because you don't want to squirt paper glaze into your paint. That would be a disaster. We also want to put a little bit of thinning medium in there. It helps to dissolve the paint as well, and with less, oh, I'm so out of breath, with less effort. We're going to mix it up real good, and we're just going to take some with the stick and put it in there like this, because, well, we just want to have some in there. It helps to make the paint smoother and less granular. Believe it or not, there's little granules in the paint, and if they don't dissolve down, you're going to have granules on your doll when you paint it, and you're going to have to try to pounce them off, and it's not fun. Okay, so now I'm going to just put some blobs of paint in there to where I think it's the right amount. It's really hard to get the right amount. You just have to put some and try it out. And we don't want to put too much, because we'd end up, if it's too much, having to pour some out into another jar and continue to dilute it down with paint thinner to make it the color we want. So we're going to start with this much, and I'm not sure we're not going to put more yet. I'm just going to scrape it off with this stick and put it down in here, and just, actually, I'm going to shake it up because that'll be faster and it'll mix it a little bit better. The Exodus oil and the paint and the thinning medium will mix with that paint and help to get it dissolved up. We don't want to have gobs of undissolved paint. And that's easy to do, because when I was just making paint the regular way, where you just put the paint in and put paint thinner in it, I'd have these globs at the bottom that just didn't dissolve. And every time you'd stick your brush in and you'd bring it back out, you'd see, oops. Look at me. I'm going to get paint on these clothes too. You'd see little blobs in your paintbrush. And you don't want that, because it's messy. And then the blob would get on your doll, and then it would be darker in that area. And we don't want any of that stuff. We want our paint to be mixed well. We want our color to be uniform and even all over. And I am running out of paint thinner. Start putting some in, because we don't know how dark it's going to be yet. We're going to mix it up a bit, and then we're going to just take a little bit and put it over here beside this other. Now see, that's lighter than the other one was to me. It looks lighter. I don't know, I can't really tell for sure, but it does look like it's lighter. As the paint thinner is pulled away by the paper towel, it's soaking into the paper towel faster than the paint is, and it leaves behind the paint. And you can see already where I can see where the paint thinner is starting to dissolve and run into the paper towel. It is leaving behind a much lighter color of paint than this is. Much lighter. So I'm going to get a little bit more, and I'm going to put it in there, because it's just really hard to tell if you're getting the right amount. The only way you can really tell for sure is when you're painting the doll. So you might want to get out your test kit and test it on that, because it's really, really hard sometimes, because the color is not really that, it's hard to explain. The color is uniform if you was to measure every time, but it's super hard to measure your paint. I tried doing that one time long ago, and it was just not feasible. You'd have these little measuring spoons or whatever you want to measure with, and you get the paint in there, and then you can't get it all out because it's stuck to the sides of the spoon or the cup or whatever you're measuring with. And so you're not getting a uniform amount measured anyway. And by the time you try to dig it out with a paintbrush or a swab or whatever you're trying to dig it out with, you've left a bunch of the paint behind. We might have to add a little bit more paint thinner to this, because I put a lot more paint in there. I'm going to see how dark it is first, and then, if I can get it open, and then I'm going to see if I need to put any more paint thinner. It looks about right. Looking at the paint color, it looks about right, but that doesn't mean it is right. I'll put that right there. That's looking better. It's very dark though, But that one looked very dark. The first one I put down looked very dark too when I first put it down. And as the color began to seep into, the paint thinner began to seep into the paper towel, leaving behind the paint got lighter. So this could be almost exactly right. It might be slightly too dark. I'm gonna throw these away because they are gooey and icky. Yeah, it's going out into the paper towel now. And I'm out of breath. I've been doing so much today. I put a lot of dolls together, dressed them, photographed them. See, this is what we have. This is the color I started out with, and these two dots I did before I added more paint. And this is the one after I added more paint. We're still waiting for the paint thinner to finish leaking out. As soon as it leaches out into the paper towel, we'll know if the color's right. It's making it there. And what I see on the edges does look like that. It's slightly darker, but not dark enough to hurt anything. The difference is very, very minute. And the difference in the color might make a little difference in the number of coats we have to put on the doll to look good. I always like to put 2 coats anyway, but I've been actually wanting my dolls to be a little bit darker. Okay, I've got paint all over my hands now. That's why I have little baby wipes in this little container right here, so I can wipe my hands off if I need to. Get the paint off. It gets all under your fingernails, and then you have this messy looking fingernails. It looks like you don't bathe or something. It's gross. But it's no need to try to get it out until you're all done doing dolls, because it just gets right back under there. Every time you touch one of them dirty sponges or any of that stuff, you get stuff all up under your fingernails. And it just dyes the back of your nails some kind of way. Yeah, that looks almost exactly right. That's a great color. I'm gonna throw at least the first couple of layers of this away because it's so much paint on it. And I'm gonna just turn it over like that to use for later. And we're gonna throw this away because it's okay now. And I'll make sure that's back in the box. Okay, we are now ready to put a layer on her. And I already said before that when I started a new doll, I was gonna throw away most of these sponges. They are getting quite icky. Some of them are. That one's still usable. I didn't even know that one was down there. Okay, those are going. Let's see. This one is, I don't know why I put these little dividers in there. I can't keep them divided. These are quite icky. These are icky. Icky sponges. When you get new sponges, you're gonna notice that your dolls are painting lighter. They are, the same thing happens to your sponges that happens to your paintbrushes. Even though this paint is dried up, when it gets activated with some more wet paint, some of that's deep down inside of the sponge will sort of come to the top and begin to liquefy that paint some more. So the color you're painting with is a little bit concentrated because your sponges are soaked. Yes. Put that up there. Okay, we're gonna need new sponges now. I'm gonna have to order some more of these from Amazon. That's the only place I've been able to find these in any quantity or a price that you can actually pay. Some people want extreme amounts of money for one of these packages of jumbo cosmetic wedges. And this is the only kind, Swisspers, that I've ever found that's right. They're absolutely the right kind. And they're the jumbo cosmetic wedges. Those little tiny ones, no good. They're too little. By the time you tear a piece off the end to make it raggy, it's just way short and way skinny. And you're gonna use it use it up in a minute and a half. Anyway, I'm gonna tear these so they're ready. It seems like I'm just taking up all the time doing other things besides painting. But we have to mix our paint when we need it mixed. There's no need to mix it ahead of time and let it just go bad. Okay, now we have, we don't need any of these for this color because I'm going to use this one. This one's barely used. It looks very used because it soaks down pretty fast into here. But until it's really dark, this was used only a couple times probably. Until it gets really dark, it's still fine to use. So we're going to put some on here, and we're going to just see how it looks on the back of her head first, because we do not want to put the wrong color on her face or anything like that. So here we go on the back of her head. Oh, and it's looking plenty fine. You can just tell by the color of it if it's wrong or not, because you've been putting it on dolls for so long now. By now, most of y'all who follow me have already made some dolls, and you've had a chance to put the color on your doll and see how it looked and everything. And by now you should be able to tell if your color's the right color or not. Sometimes we're tricked by something, some other factor in the paint or something, and it turns out it's too dark and it turns chalky, but usually that does not happen. I don't know why I'm pouncing it off before I finish pouncing it on. We still want to pounce onto all the spots that we did with the brush if we can get to them. Some of them you won't be able to get to, that's why we use the brush first. Inside the ears is one of them, but if we can get behind the ears and beside the ears and stuff like that, we want to do that because we want to have the sponge effect, not the brush effect. Okay, now we're going to pounce it a little bit and get some of the excess off. See, very little's really coming off. You think that you're taking it all off probably. I've had people actually say, well, aren't you just taking all the paint off? Really, no. It really does adhere to the vinyl pretty well. And especially since she's sealed. A sealed doll will hold, a sealed doll will hold the paint better than an unsealed doll. And you can tell, like if you missed a tiny little spot on the doll with your sealer, you can tell that that little spot is always going to be a different color from the rest of the doll because you missed it with the sealer, and now it's not holding the paint as well as the other spots where the sealer is good. And it'll be a lighter and a different color almost a totally different color. Okay, that's pretty good. See, very little really came off. And then I just pounce it with one of these denser ones just to get it a little bit drier. Practically nothing comes off on this one. It's just mostly, you know, paint thinner flashes pretty quick anyway. But if you can remove a little bit more of the wetness from the doll, it's quicker that you can put another coat on them. If she's still wet when I get finished with the arms and legs, I'll just use the heat gun. I put it up here with my hot glue gun. I had to hot glue a box together. I sold a doll and I don't have any tape left. I didn't even know it. So I had to hot glue the box together. And our mail lady is so nice. I said, I didn't have any tape. And I don't know, will this go like that? Do you think it'll stay together? She goes, yeah, I think it will. But when I get back to the post office with it, I'll put some tape on it for you. I just thought she's so nice. She comes and picks up my packages. You have to go online and schedule a pickup. I didn't even know you could do that until recently. And then they come by when they're doing the regular mail, and if they have any packages for you, they leave them, and they pick up the packages that you scheduled to have picked up. And she's real nice. She's just super nice. And I've had times when I scheduled a pickup for one box, but after I scheduled it, I sold 2 more dolls and didn't even have, you can't schedule a pickup for the same day. So I was going to have to schedule another pickup the next day, but she just went on and took them. She didn't have to do that. I said, I have 2 more. Can you take them? She said, yeah, sure. And so she took them, and I was happy. I like to get them off as soon as possible. Like if you sell a doll today, you can't schedule a pickup until tomorrow because you can't schedule it for the same day that you sold the doll. because the mail's already run for one thing, and plus they don't know to pick it up unless they have advance warning, you know. I cannot get the sponge behind her knee, so I'm just going to do it with the brush like that. And anyway, I'm so thankful that they do that, because I no longer drive. I don't have a car anymore. Upkeep on a car is something I can't afford. I can't even afford to put gas in it. So I don't even drive. We have a little service here in our hometown, in our county. It's the Commission on Aging. They take elderly and disabled people to the doctor, to the grocery store, you know, to places like that to get your medicine at the drugstore. But I have a drugstore that delivers, which is great. And I was having to go out to pay the rent even. I don't go out much. I hardly ever leave the house, actually. I found out that I could pay the rent online, so I started doing that. And it's great not to have to try. It's hard to try to get a ride. Sometimes the buses broke down. Sometimes they're full up. It's all different things. I need to call them first thing in the morning and try to schedule me a ride for Thursday. If you don't call immediately, they're full up. They might already be full up. The bus has been broken down, and I don't know. She hasn't called to let me. She promised to call and let me know that it was fixed. If it doesn't get fixed by Wednesday, I won't be able to go to my doctor's appointment. It's pretty bleak when there's no other transportation. Don't forget, when you're painting your doll, every time you put your brush into the paint, you have to mix it, because it separates very quickly. And that's why you can see the color of the paint on a paper towel, because the paint thinner even separates on the paper towel. That gnat's driving me nuts, flying at my face like that. Insects are attracted to people by their breath. Our breath, not their breath. But they can detect CO2 when you breathe out, and they're attracted to it. That's how those little traps catch flies and gnats and mosquitoes and things, is they emit CO2 and the insects go right toward it. That's how they find animals too, to sting and bite and all that stuff. And so if you're breathing, they're going to fly at you, especially biting insects. They're going to come right up to you. Okay, let's get these little feet. She's got really cute limbs, I think. Her hands look a little fake to me, but I like that they're open or partially open. I don't much like balled up fists. Completely balled up is okay, because it's almost as good as open. But when they're just partially balled up and you're trying to paint the fingers and stuff, it's harder. Because you can't get in the... I don't know why her legs are kind of collapsing in on themselves. See, they're too bent. They should be out like that. But once you start stuffing them and you put the glass in there, it'll fill up the crevice that's making it collapse, and then it won't be collapsed anymore. Also cannot get behind there with the sponge. So it'll be okay. It's not like, unless it melts or something. I wonder if she got a little hot. You know, sometimes I wonder if the oven is still keeping its right temperature. Some people actually bake every single time with a thermometer in the oven. I didn't do that. I did my experiments on it to see what to set it on. Sometimes you have to alter your temperature and your time that you put the doll in for to be able to achieve the correct baking temperature and time. So after I did my experiments, which takes, you know, a couple hours probably to do it correctly, I don't put the thermometer back in the oven anymore. It takes up too much room, and it's metal and it gets hot and it'll touch the doll, and anything that gets hot should not be in the oven with your doll at the same time as your doll, because if it touches your doll, it's going to cause some little snafu on your doll. I had a doll, it was Darren. I was making a Darren one time. And this was way back when I didn't even know that the vinyl could cause lung damage or something if you baked in the house. And I was baking them in my oven. And when I started to pull the pan out of the oven, it sort of touched the edge of the oven. And he had a little thing on his head that where it touched it, and it was slightly melted. I just painted over it and made it like a blemish on the doll. But it's just goes to show you that anything it touches that's hot can actually take off paint. It can put a melted, crusty look on them, or it can actually melt them. I melted a doll once because I forgot to change the temperature. When you first push the temperature button on a New Wave oven, the 350 comes up. I guess that's the most common setting that people would use to bake a pizza or something. And so it came up, and then you have to change it. You have to punch in the temperature you want. And I forgot to do that. I just put in the time. And then I put the doll in there, and it melted her. It was too hot for that. It was too hot, period. I was going to say it was too hot for that length of time, but it doesn't matter if it was that length of time or some other length of time. It was still too hot. And she just had bubbly. It was Lucy, and she had, not only was her head just really, really like soft and gooey, but she had all these blistery looking big lumps on her head. Like a big piece of vinyl might be lumped up right here, and then over here she had a bunch of blisters, and it was just, and her whole head looked like a cone because it had melted into a cone shape. It was really ugly. It was not good at all. Anyway, I'm gonna get out the heat gun, and it's been 32 minutes already, so I'm gonna stop the video while I heat her and start it downloading, and then when I get finished heating her, I can come back and we can do coat number 2, I guess. It's no different than if we were gonna stop for a bake, I don't guess, but or I can just put the second coat on her without being, it's the same thing. You're gonna see the same thing over again for the second coat. So I'll do that. I'll just heat her and apply it, and then I'll bake her, and we'll come back and go to the next color, because you don't need to really see 2 coats of the same color. I mean, you might want to, but it's the same thing exactly. So I'm just gonna ask everybody to please like, subscribe, and share, and happy reborning.